Welcome to My Love of Life Energy. I'm Anna Scott, your host. I love beautiful, rich conversations that reveal the truth, beauty, and uniqueness of each person I meet, and I'm honored to share them with you. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. And today I have a person I know not a lot about, maybe like one sentence, maybe two. Latha Jay, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Latha is a spiritual strategist, author, and speaker, and she's living, I don't know if you're living or you're in the Poconos in Pennsylvania at this moment. And I just said it because I like to say Poconos in
Yes.
Pennsylvania. And beautiful smile, beautiful flowers. And I love the name spiritual strategist. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of something I came up with to describe what I do because I didn't feel that manifestation coach really encompassed the width and the expansion of all the ways that I can support people. And I found that when we were talking about spirituality, it's your spirit is involved in everything that we do, whether it is, your prayer, your meditation, your manifestation game, your business, your family. It's in every area. And I'm trained in Ayurveda, and one of the key components in Ayurveda is that mind, body, and soul are connected. It's the idea that you're watering the root of the tree to enjoy the fruits of the tree. It's all, and in each space is just a branch of it. And that's how I practice. I know that spirituality and your spirit is connected in every single area, and it's important to bring balance into all of that space. So that's where I came up with the title, spiritual strategist. I help people
I love that.
strategize. Yeah, thank you.
You grew up in a family. I read that you grew up, your grandmother was an Ayurvedic teacher or practitioner.
Yes, I'll say that she was more like a folk medicine woman, more so. Not
Oh,
officially, not with the degrees and stuff like that that we think of now, but she was also born in the, early 1920s, and I think times were a little bit different then. But she was the woman that was known in the village. When you had an issue, you talked to her. When you had a question about something in your life, you wanted to talk to someone else, you'd call her up. Even when she moved to America, and she lived with us in America for, I think it was almost 40 years, she'd get calls all the time from people in India just wanting to, hey, tell me about this, what's going on here. And I always thought like, whoa, she's like so well connected and so loved that people will reach out to her no matter where.
well, I'm just so curious, how did she get that? And then how did she transmit it to you, or how did you get interested in it? Those two questions. It's a two
Well,
for one.
yeah, it's a way of life. So, we think about Ayurveda as a study here. I went to school here. I got a master's degree in the study of this, but it's a science of life, and it's the way that they were living their life, and every aspect of what they were doing in the food, in their practices, in their intentionality, in the way that they their physicality in which she was moving and moving her body. She lived to be 96 years old with really almost no health issues. I mean, up until probably about a week or 2 weeks before her death, I was having great conversations with her, sharp as anything. She had all her teeth, could walk and function on her own. So it was the way of life that she had, just treated her body in a certain way that was really in alignment with her living in a healthy manner.
Wow, I really feel this like a deep cultivation and reverence for life. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Ayurvedic tradition other than a little bit. Can you share a little bit about it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's so it's really like an intentional way of living. So you would wake up at a certain time, you would understand your dosha, which if you've ever heard of the word dosha, it's to describe if you're vata, pitta, or kapha, which is essentially like I want to say it's like a type of person or type of characteristic, group of characteristics, that's a better way to say it, that can describe a type of person. And then each characteristics determines, certain foods you should or shouldn't eat, things that you should do, movements that you should have, the times that you should go to sleep and wake up in the morning, things like that. Also, there's a decent sized herbal component into it. So in Ayurvedic healing and science, we're learning to heal our body through natural forms. So we're learning to heal through herbs, and it's literally the way that we do everything in life, right?
Oh my God, you seem to love it and know it like it's like a glove.
I mean,
Like,
that's kind of, yeah. Yeah, it's all I've known. My grandmother raised us in this tradition, and I'll say that it wasn't the purest Ayurvedic lifestyle, but I'll say that there were so many components that were intertwined in what we did. It wasn't until I was older and I went to school that I realized that other people didn't live like that. Like other people ate, you know, differently, and then they didn't have altars in their house, and they didn't have time for meditation. They didn't believe in these things. And it was a shock to my system, to be honest. And I still remember it. I still remember it. And that they didn't have this ideology about energy and the way that their body worked and that how they could be better aligned with the energies of the world.
Mm, wow. I what was your grandmother's, I don't know why she feels so present right now. What was her experience when you stepped into this?
So by the time that I was getting my degree, I had already left medical school. So I'll be honest, she was pretty disappointed when I decided to leave medical school. Because she always kind of knew that I had to be in the space of the healing arts. And she was very intuitive. So she was kind of like, wait, what are you doing? And I was like, I know, but this isn't for me. And I know it's not aligned for me. She was very supportive of me kind of finding my way, but also just didn't understand why I would leave, something that I had gotten so far in to then leave. So I had studied medicine. I had an undergraduate degrees in biology, psychology, pre-medicine, and then went on to go to medical school. And I did about 7.5 years towards an 8-year study to completion for an MD. Decided not to complete, and it kind of rocked the world of my family and rocked my own world to make this decision. But from the moment that I had started that journey, I knew that it wasn't for me. And it wasn't until years later that I had decided to go back and get my master's degree in Ayurvedic science to really know more about it in a way that I can understand.
Wow.
Every yeah, yeah. So everything that I learned from my grandmother was really taught to me in a way of life, and I wanted to kind of study it in a way of like academia and through books and learn more and more in depth. So that's kind of my pursuit of things. But it was great because during that time I had great conversations with her and I would tell her things and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Like there's such a vast knowledge and a depth to Ayurveda that it was just beautiful. Even though she's lived her whole life, in this way of life, there's a tradition and that's just how she would function. And there was always like, "Hey, did you know about this herb?" She's like, "I never even heard of that." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is what we learned about today." And this is, what, and she would tell me stuff too. And I would tell her about, "Oh, we're learning about Abhyanga. Abhyanga is like a specific way of oil massage of the body." Oh, she's like, "Oh, this is how you should do it better." And and she was like, "Oh, this is how it's better for the heart if you do it this way." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Great."
Wow. So I'm curious because I work with people in transitions, like that moment. What made you finally choose to go, I'm not going any further on this path? Because that is such a brave moment in life.
Looking back upon it, it's a brave moment. In the moment, it was like I felt like there was no other way. Right. I remember I had waken up that day and feeling like this cannot be what life is about. This cannot be it. I was feeling so much resistance towards what I was pursuing. And like I was saying, I mean, I knew from day one that this wasn't the path for me, but I just kept almost wanting to gaslight myself into thinking that like this is I just keep going, just keep going, figure it out, it's fine. But it really wasn't for me. And I had to have that moment of saying this, no. And I kept, and there was a thought that was like, okay, it's just 6 more months, just a couple more rotations, finish it out and then see what happens kind of thing. But I couldn't get myself to do it because I kept thinking, you know what? If I do that, then I'm going to say, just do your residency, just do the next thing, just do the next thing and try to push myself, continuing down a path that I knew wasn't for me. And I didn't want
Wow.
that. So I knew that I had to leave then.
How did you, do you remember how you listened to that? I mean, because I think what you're pointing to is what you did is so powerful. Do you know how you knew that it wasn't right for you?
I could feel it in my body. And the other thing that I really noted was that, throughout school, I felt like there was so much resistance against me. Now, I know that there's a healthy amount of resistance when we're doing anything, there's a challenge and we're facing it, we're growing throughout that. But there was so much resistance. And it was like every morning I would wake up exhausted, no matter how much sleep I had the night before, no matter if we were just got back from break, just thinking about the idea of coming back to school. I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And it wasn't, and I was a good student. Externally looking in, I was a good student. I had a great social life. I was getting good grades. I was in the honors program. There was no real kind of issue there. But internally, internally, man, it was so, it just felt like my spirit wasn't there.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's so beautiful. Well, no, because I just haven't heard it articulated so clearly.
Mm.
It's that you can be doing all the right things, but I feel the force rather than the power. Like when spirit's there, the natural power is there. But if your spirit's not there, you have to force your way through. And I've never heard it so clearly articulated.
Thank you.
And especially, the culture, our culture, my culture, I don't know where your culture is, would reward being a doctor.
Course, mine too. When I was a young kid and I told my parents I wanted to help people, I innately knew I wanted to help people and work with people. They told me, great, become a doctor. That was the solution. And that's the path that I had gone down. And even as a kid, I dressed up as a doctor or a nurse for Halloween. Some Halloweens, worked my first volunteer job. I was working as a candy striper in a hospital. My first paid job, I was working at a doctor's office in the front desk. Everything that I
Wow.
did was geared towards me becoming a doctor. Every single thing. So deciding not to in that moment, it was like, well, what am I going to do? I didn't know. I didn't know what was next, but I knew what I wasn't going to continue.
And so can I ask you one more question about this? Because I'm just
Yeah.
so curious. Um, is because I think it also speaks to the level that you can help people. That's why is I think that there's I'm making an assumption. There's such a true north in you now, and you understand that.
Yes, very much so. And I really do function and live my life to moving towards joy and moving towards what really lights me up. When things don't light me up, I really have to take a second to evaluate things very, very clearly because I know that it's not worth it for me. When I look at like a lifespan of the time that we get to enjoy here on Earth, I just think, do I want to spend more time in the space of disalignment or do I want to really be in the space of feeling super aligned with my life purpose? And more so than not, I choose that I want to be in that space of alignment.
And so, how do you feel your alignment? I mean, it's very clear to me. I can what I make it mean, but how do you experience your alignment, and how do you show people their alignment?
I think alignment is in the space of finding your joy. Your joy is your compass. It's like what really feels fulfilling for you. And when you
It's the best definition of alignment I've ever heard.
great.
It just
Yeah.
delighted me.
No, I'm glad.
Ah,
I'm glad that that lit you up so much because it's so true. Joy is your compass. And when you continue to follow your joy, you're going to continue to really live in your alignment. When you're doing that, there is success there. There
well, I
is the
just
piece of fulfillment there.
well, I just feel it. It's like this attraction. It's like this magnet. It's this like joy gets joy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what brings you joy in your work? What do you love about it?
I love supporting people. I love that sense of this spark that comes on within them. I mean, from a very young age, I've been able to see some energies and spirits and things that people don't see and hear, usually, at least from what I've learned growing up. And it's been such a beautiful gift that I've been able to cultivate. And in my teachings, and, I have one program, it's called Speak Her, in which people get to train with me for 6 weeks and then get on stage and deliver a speech. And it's professionally videographed and photographed and everything like that. And the light that changes in them in that moment is like so addictive for me. Like I love that thing that just starts in them, that magic that just kind of like I mean, the only thing I can compare to is like a spark. And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And I mean, I remember that there was like one year that we did this and we had a decent amount of participants. It was like 25 people that had participated through the program that time. And each one gives their speech and everybody sits out in the audience. And I remember looking out into the audience and being like, this is incredible. It's like a field of stars sitting out here. Just the glow.
What made you start the speaking? That's such an interesting um, uh, offer.
I mean, it's the pathway to everything we do. If
Say
you
more.
are able to speak, you're able to ask for what you want. If you're able to speak, you're able to speak up for injustice. If you're able to speak, you're able
Oh,
to defend yourself. You're able to speak. There's so many things that come, but it starts with your voice. And I know personally, I've had, my own issues with my own voice, and I've known how that has kind of opened up the world for me when I was able to lean into it rather than continue to shy away from it. And I had this idea that my voice wasn't valuable, that I shouldn't speak up for things for many, many years. And that came
oh,
from a childhood experience in which I was in choir. And my choir teacher had very clearly told me that I had a terrible voice and I shouldn't sing and I shouldn't speak. And
oh,
it was this one instance. I was probably about 10, 11 years old, one instance of that. But in that moment, there was so much embarrassment that happened and I needed to protect myself. So I had made the decision that she was right, that teacher was right. And I shouldn't speak up for myself and I shouldn't, sing and I should just be quiet. My voice doesn't have value. I had made up all these ideas and I carried that with me for so long.
oh,
And
wow.
until I was able to reverse that, I didn't understand that that was actually my superpower. And a lot of times when I am able to interact with people, I find that the thing that they were suppressing, the thing that they felt was holding them back, their limiting belief, is in fact their superpower. And now I get to, write books that people read all around the world. I get to make videos every day. I get to be on cool podcasts like this, talking to cool people like you,
Oh
and
my God.
all of it comes from my voice that I was able to
Oh,
tap back into.
oh my God. I want to thank you. When I was a little girl, I didn't realize it until right now. My mother would hit me and say, "Don't sing," and and yet I'm starting to find my voice and speak and use it. And I can feel when you said that, I can feel the power of what you're like that root that
Mhm.
you have, the root of it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and it's been such a gift to be able to not only uncover that within myself, but then to be able to see it in others and support them in uncovering this and stepping into their light and creating these beautiful gifts. Once someone does this, once they're on stage, which seems like such a big deal, right? Getting on stage and being able to speak and being seen and witnessed, it changes something within you and you never become the same person again. It's as if you're
Well, it
invisible line of who you were and who you're becoming and you step over it into her.
so you just said something. I think there's something so profound about being seen and
Mhm.
witnessed. And you said it seemed like you have psychic or hearing and seeing. And what's your understanding about seeing? Because that's like one of my favorite things in life is to see people.
To see, yeah, to be seen and to be witnessed. It's one of the most powerful things. And I really do believe that that's the only way that we can heal is when we are seen and witnessed in the emotion, in our rage, in our feelings, in our
Oh,
sadness. It's the only way. We, as humans, we're meant to be in community. We're meant to be in the village. We're meant to have a sisterhood and a community to be with and a family. And whether we're being seen by people that are blood related to us or people that we've chosen to be our family, it doesn't really matter. But to be seen and witnessed, it changes so much in your life.
so what's your understanding? Or no, let's scratch that. How do you know when you've really been seen?
You've really been seen because something shifts within you. And you
Mhm.
have this moment where you're just like,
Mhm.
I can't, maybe I'm describing it wrong, but for me, I always feel like it's almost like a breath of fresh air, like a new space of oxygen is coming into your body, and you're like, whoa, this is different. You can almost note it if you're paying attention close enough, in which you're being witnessed and being truly witnessed for something maybe that you were ashamed of before. Maybe it was speaking, maybe it was, laughing or singing. Maybe it was you being in joy. And in those moments, you suppress it and it continues to carry with you and you continue to suppress it. And then one day you're truly witnessing that and you're honored for it and it shifts
Ah,
within you.
oh, I just got it. I hadn't seen it before. Um, what I just saw, what you just showed me, is the power of being seen is to be honored and see the beauty in it. It's to see the beauty, the light in it. And that's breathtaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely breathtaking. And even in the grief, it's like to hold the grief or the rage, it's like to hold it in beauty and understanding or compassion.
Yeah.
Where did you learn how to become, or were you just born with being a seer?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I could see things from a very, very early age. I mean, as long as I could remember, back then, absolutely, I could always see things. But it wasn't probably until I was a teenager in which I was kind of mentored, let me say, mentored by a woman. I was taught tarot. So I learned to read tarot when I was probably about 14, 15 years old. And I started to read.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, in the back of a bar. I know it was wild times back then, I'm telling you. I mean, now I think about I have a 8-year-old daughter and I'm like, "Oh my God, if she was in the back of a bar and like, in 5 years from now she was sitting in the back of a bar, I'd be like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Absolutely not. But also I lived my life and I probably did things that were out of sorts in many, many, many ways. But I think that it's all was worth it at the end. It's brought me to where I am, and it's also taught me a level of understanding of people and sometimes people in their darkest moments.
Wow, it's beautiful. Do you use in your work, do you use your psychic or mediumship?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
In everything I do. And maybe it's not just like, oh, I I'm seeing this, da, da, da. I never say it like that, but I'll always be able to give guidance based on everything else. It's integrative, let me say. My approach is always integrative. You might just think I'm talking about one thing, but I promise you, there's a lot more in there.
Oh my gosh. And what does your daughter think of what you do and how you are? Like, what's her experience? Giving like the generational? I'm just so
Yeah,
curious.
she loves it. I mean, that's all she's ever known, right? That mommy does this. And probably as a little kid, she didn't really understand. For a while, she would describe me as a teacher. And I always thought, I guess I am a teacher, sorts. Whenever she'd tell her friends, like, oh, my mom's a teacher. She's doing this. She's on TV. She's doing, she's on a billboard. And her friends are like, what? My mom's a teacher too. And that's not what it is. So it probably took a little while for her to understand. But I'll tell you, recently, I held an event. It's called Spiritual Safari in Texas. And at that event, my daughter actually asked me, well, prior to the event, she knew we were planning it. She had asked me to be able to be a facilitator. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're 8 years old. Like, are you kidding me? And just kind of held space for her. I said, okay, tell me more. Like, what do you want to do? And she said, well, mommy, you always told me that like the work that you do is to help people get unstuck from an idea that came to them when in their childhood. And I was like, yeah, that's a decent way of understanding it. An idea that forms in childhood, the belief that we end up carrying throughout our life. I said, okay, so tell me more. And she's like, well, I'm a child. I was like, yes. And she's like, well, what if I lead an inner child meditation? Maybe their inner child would want to come and play
Oh
with me.
God. Oh my God. The beauty of what you just said, and she sees and understands. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What a soul.
It was incredible. And I'm telling you, like that, if it was a 3-day event, and the majority of people said that that was their the favorite
Oh, I
moment, that
bet.
it was the
I
depth
bet.
of it. Yeah, it was
I
incredible.
mean,
I mean, incredible.
by the way, what is spiritual safari? You're a wordsmith, you're a word genius.
Thank you.
There's a
Yeah.
way that you create language that is so unique and so inviting that you have me captivated by it. And I'm like, wow, so I want to know what spiritual safari is. And then I'm like, where did this come from? And that because it's it's magical.
I mean, it was an event. So I'll tell you where it came from. I don't think a lot of people know this story. It was the first time that I was hosting it this year, but early on in the year, I had something called a cosmovision. Cosmovision is when a vision comes to you from the divine, from another source, a higher power, let's say. And the vision had showed me that I had to do this event. And I immediately said, no, I'm busy. I got shit to do. I got a family and I'm already doing my stuff. And it kept coming back to me and said, no, this is the event you need to host, and these are the dates. And I was like, oh God, this is like right before summer. I got, and I was just kind of like a no to it. I had met with my astrologer, and I meet with her regularly, and she was like talking to me, and she said, you know, this is like a really powerful weekend of dates too. She didn't know that I had this vision and these were the dates I came to. And I said, oh, really? And it was the same dates. Then I went to an event. I went to an event at my friend's ranch in Texas. And when I'm thinking about a ranch in Texas, I'm thinking about cows and um I don't know, really just cows, to be honest. Maybe some dogs there, pigs and stuff. I don't know what's on a ranch. When I get there, there's giraffes. There's giraffes and zebras and kangaroos. And it turns out that my friend has been rescuing these animals from the area and
Oh,
really all around that have been either said, you know, genetically they can't reproduce anymore, they were going to be put down, or there's some issue like a casino was closing down or some other thing, facility was closing down and the animals had nowhere else to go. He was like, bring them over to my ranch. So he's developed this beautiful ranch. It's just really exquisite. And when I was there for another event, I was talking to him and I said, you know, I can't help but think I need to come back here. And he was like, okay. And I said, well, he's like, you know, we're always booked out. It's like, you can see maybe for next year we can talk about it, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. I said, you know, I just want to know, like, what about this weekend? This is the weekend that I'm thinking about. And he looked in, you know, his bookings and he said, that's the only weekend we have available. And I was like, okay,
okay, God,
okay, got it.
the
You know,
universe.
I had talked to my sound guy and he was like, I'm booked throughout the summer. It's like, because it was only a few months before. And I said, okay, well, it's this weekend. If you are available, let me know. And he said, that's the only weekend I'm available. And it kept happening like that again and again and again. I said, okay, well, then I think that this is a very clear sign that this is the weekend I'm supposed to do it. And this is the place I'm supposed to do it at. So we rented out the entirety of this safari, of this ranch, huge ranch. And we had people come in from all around the world and to join us for this 3-day event that was so monumental and very pivotal for everybody that attended. And we had beautiful guest speakers that came through talking about all different types of stuff. I led, you know, many of the sessions as well. I had my friend come in from Costa Rica, who is an indigenous healer from Costa Rica, from the Berber tribe. She did a cacao ceremony with us, and it was
Oh,
so
wow.
beautiful. And it was out in the safari land. So we're like surrounded by giraffes as we're, you know, she's playing her singing bowls and she's giving out cacao and everybody's like laying down on the ground. There's like a zebra
Uh,
up and like looking at us. They're like, what's going on? And the way to interact with the animals, you know, animals have the purest energy, the purest energy. It's so beautiful and divine. And they also have an ability for healing. So, you know, if you ever seen like equine therapy, people are healing with
yeah,
horses and things like that, or dog therapy when they have a dog come into the hospitals and things like that. They have such a beautiful, healing, calming energy. So to be able to do that in that space with these people, I felt like a portal was opening. It was just so,
oh,
so
wow.
magical. It was really, really beautiful. And I mean, it came to me in that vision. And otherwise, I would have never done it because it was
Wow,
a huge effort to put on and, you know, to coordinate and to get all the people and da 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 da. Oh man, it was a huge effort. But I'm grateful that we
it's
did.
beautiful. What a
Yeah.
beautiful story. Okay, I want to know where your creation of language is so unique and beautiful. There's
Thank
this, I
you.
don't know if you've ever heard of the gene keys and
Yes.
the 60-second gene key. It's you have precision
Mm.
with your language.
Well, I really function on the belief that our words create our world. And because of that, I am very intentional with the words that I use.
Okay, well that explains it because the reverberations and the choice, I can feel that intelligence working
You know,
and
in
how
the
it penetrates me.
so in Ayurveda, we study the Vedic texts. And a piece of that, it's written in Sanskrit, and some of the words are maybe a little more complicated to say than others and a little more difficult. And I remember my teacher at the time, he was telling me like it's not only importance of the words, but it's in the importance of the silence between the words. So it all matters. You know, it's not just what we're speaking, but it's in the moments that we're silent as well.
It's profound. It's absolutely, um, what's the word? Life-giving.
Mm.
That's what I see. But we are coming to our end, which I can't believe, and I don't want it to end, which is really fun for me. I like it when I have that experience. I'm like, no, I want to know more. But I can't thank you so much. Where do people find you? It'll be on the website, but just they want somebody's driving and they hear this and they go, yeah.
I'd love for people to just know a little bit about my upcoming book. It's coming out October 6th of 2026. It's called The 24/7 Manifestation Method. And I wrote it because we're manifesting 24/7. And it's a matter of if we're manifesting from our subconscious, our default state, or our conscious level. And I want people to step into manifesting from their conscious level. It has really an easy foundational technique that it's built on, with so much more that just really is supported in our manifestations coming to fruition. And this is available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and pretty much everywhere that a book is sold. Go and find it. Also, I want to say that people that pre-order this actually can come over to my website and get involved in an incredible bonus that we're offering for pre-orders. It involves a full course, a PDF, as well as some coaching that comes along with it as well for free as soon as you order the book. You can also
Right.
find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Latha_Jay_. I'm on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, pretty much all of the socials as well. You can find me if you're looking for me, but I am probably the most active on Instagram. So come find me there.
Okay, great. Well, it's an honor. I can't thank you enough. I have been touched, which I love. That's why I do this, is I get to be touched by people. And I figure if I get touched, somebody else is going to get touched. So
Thanks for
that's the
having
gift.
me. Thank you for having
Yeah.
me. This is a really beautiful experience for me as well. Thank you.
Thank you.